I'm really glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
So let's just dive in. So people have maybe been watching these interviews. We've done 2 others today. We had some awesome women reading this book when we went through kind of our beta reading stage, which gave me a chance to test out, okay, is this book going to have the effect that I hope it will? Will it actually help people start shifting their mindset around dieting and healthy lifestyle and things? So what do you think? Did this do what I was hoping? Like, did it make a change? What mindset shifts kind of happened for you as you read the book?
Well, to me, what was the most important thing, and I'd be surprised if other readers don't have this experience, is, when we talk about trying to get healthy and lose weight, the emphasis is always on dieting, caloric restriction, and exercise. And your book, and some health coaches and health practitioners do talk about lifestyle change, but your book puts it in the context of one's life. So your book wraps it up with mindset, changing your habits, self-care, developing, especially a lot of women, we get this idea that we don't deserve to give ourselves the kind of time and effort that we give to our families. And I'm sorry, I found I can't change my habits unless I think I deserve that time and care. You also talk about sleep, stress, your overall environment at home, and what's in the house to eat and stuff. So I feel like you put trying to develop healthier habits into the entire life context, and you tie it all together. And it's a really holistic approach, which personally think works better for most people, or it will work for more people. So
yeah. And you've gotten to experience that approach firsthand, because we've worked together one-on-one, and we've worked together in my group program. And it seems like you have come a really long way of getting to that place of, I'm worth this, and I'm going to give myself credit along the way. I'm going to embrace this as a journey. Like so many of those shifts that I wait and I hope for people to kind of have that click, those things have clicked for you. And it seems like the book really reinforced a lot of that for you after you read it.
Well, a lot of, like, one of my main takeaways for my particular situation was, I'm like, I need to stop beating myself up over not losing as much weight as fast or by a certain date that I had hoped to lose it. And it's like I said in one of our group meetings recently, I said, I've decided to give myself credit for not gaining any weight during the pandemic, because I've been working from home for almost an exact year now. No one planned on that.
Yeah.
And that has its own unique challenges. And so I'm like, I made it through the pandemic without getting COVID, without dying, and without gaining more weight. I'll give myself credit here.
Yes.
So, and now I'm ready to move on. So
that is so fantastic. What do you think, like, as you think of other people coming to reading this book, what do you think will maybe surprise them the most about this approach?
I think they'll be surprised at how other things tie in to trying to get to a healthier weight and fitness level.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be surprised at the effect that, like, getting enough sleep will have, or trying to, but I think I'm willing to bet that a lot of women are going to put down that book, and say to themselves, you know what? I don't think I understood until now that I am worth it, and I deserve to give myself self-care. And I hear that from a lot of the women in our group sessions too. It's like they're almost surprised, or they feel guilty when they come to that realization. And then once they once anyone determines and has that inner conviction that they're worth taking care of, then I think that gives them the spiritual energy to organize other parts of their life that you talk about in the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It really is at the crux of it, right? We have to believe that we're worth it and that we deserve to take up time and space and energy, and we get to invest in ourselves as much as we invest in everybody around us. Yes, I think you're right. I think a lot of the other women in our group coaching have come to that same conclusion. It's it creates a ripple effect. I love how you pointed out the idea that, people might be surprised at how these other aspects, how they work together. At the end of almost every chapter, you'll hear me pointing out, this is the ripple effect. This connects to this. This connects to this. This is the biggest thing that I want people to get from this book. So I'm glad that you caught on to that of, okay, I've been, people in the plant-based world especially tend to dig deeper into nutrition when actually we need to take a step back and say, what else is going on that might be stressing my body out? We talk so much about inflammation and inflammatory foods, but sleep deprivation creates inflammation in the body. There's so many. It's getting late. There's so many other things to look at, but they're all doable. We can fit it in a very digestible book to look at this from a more holistic perspective.
And the other thing too that I think, and I think this reflects your coaching style too, you don't tell us to take care of it all at once.
Right.
Okay, on week 1, you're going to close this book and you're going to get your shape, your sleep into shape, your exercise routine down, your eating habits. You always encourage the readers and the people you coach to, okay, you decide what is the next change you have the bandwidth to make.
Yeah.
And then keep going.
Yes.
And you'll know when you're ready. So,
yes.
And you have that same tone in the book. You've never been pushy as a coach. I've never seen you make anyone, well, why didn't you lose 2 pounds this week? Why did you stop exercise? You're not like that. And I don't think that's sustainable. And so, and your book reflects that too, that the conversational tone, the philosophical stance you take. And frankly, I'd be surprised if that didn't make it stand out from all the other life health coaching books that are out there. So
thank you. Thank you. I'm glad, again, I'm glad these things are coming across. There's a reason why I do it that way, because if you don't do it that way, human behavior just doesn't work with that. We resist it. We resist being told what to do. We resist being pushed. We resist being forced. But if we can feel like we're in the driver's seat and we're just looking for inspiration of what is my next step, then guess what? You're going to be successful, way more likely to be successful than if I were to just sit here and tell you all the answers. I love how you brought up kind of the feel and the layout of the book, that it is not a 30-day program. It is not I've heard some people describe the book as a step-by-step process, but I would even argue with that a little bit, that it can be. You can create your own step-by-step process by reading the book, by going through the journal prompts, by going inward, which can be really uncomfortable for people because we're so used to going to a doctor and being told what to do, or going, hiring, any number of professionals that it's their job to tell us what to do. And that's what's so different about real health and wellness coaching, is that you're the expert. You know what you are ready, willing, and able to do. And that matters more than what I think you should do.
Well, and two, I think the difference between like the type of coaching that you do and even going to my family doctor, who up until a few months ago when he lectured me about how I should try the keto diet, I was stunned, but never mind,
Yeah.
um, is that doctors typically treat symptoms, or they give you a little one-page handout. Here's how to eat better. Thanks a lot for nothing, guys, you know.
Yeah.
And a coach like you teaches someone how to give them the knowledge and the tools to make their own decisions about how they're going to mitigate their health issues.
Yeah.
Because I know from past experience, like I was once pre-diabetic and I took metformin for 4 years. They sent me to a diabetes counselor. And at one point she wanted to put me on a medication I didn't even need. And I finally said, this is ridiculous. And I started researching and found Dr. Furman's Eat to Live and John McDougall's the Starch Solution. And that's when I was able to, I made my own decision and moved forward with
Mhm.
something that would actually treat the problem, not just,
Bingo. Yeah.
um, you know. So I've been off metformin for several years now. I don't go to a diabetes counselor anymore, and um, I have enough confidence. If my doctor tells me something that I think is nonsense, I'll go and check it out before I discredit it completely and make my own decision. And
Yeah.
maybe one day I'll make one that's not so good, but so far I've done okay.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what your book and your health coaching stance does. I get the message from that book. Here are the tools. Here's the knowledge and the whole thing you need to look at. And now you decide when and how you're going to do each of these things. So
Exactly.
I I think that teaches people not only self-love and but self-responsibility. So,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
love that. You painted that picture beautifully. Thank you. So, who do you feel like this book is for? Who will benefit most from this? Who do you hope will read this book?
Um, I think anyone that wants to make a change for the better for their health would benefit from it. But I have a very prejudiced view in that I think it especially um, applies to women because I'm sorry, even with a lot of the rights that we have now and the more open opportunities that women have now, we're still coming home and doing the second shift. And we're
Yeah.
still doing most of the work of the family, even if we work full time. And even women who stay at home full time. I have yet to meet a mom who stayed at home full time that I would ever classify as lazy. Some of these women work harder than I ever would have at running a home and a family. But anyway, um, I think that most women still struggle with that essential core idea that we are worth self-care and self-love,
Yes.
because our culture has told us for so long that we are to sacrifice and subjugate our desires and dreams and goals to either our partner and our family. And yeah, sure, for a time we need to when we're in the midst of babies and toddlers and diapers and stuff. I get that, but you don't do that for your entire life. And even when you're in the middle of that, you need some self-love and self-care, because no one else is going to give it to you, not because they don't love you or because they don't care. They just don't know. And
Yes.
so you just have to either speak up or just insist, okay, this is my time, this is what I need to do for myself, you know.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah, yeah. And what you're speaking to is really, that's in that stress management chapter of the book, where the solution to self-management is self-care, and it's boundaries, and it's making those decisions and drawing those lines and saying, this is what I'm willing to do, and this is what I need. This is what I'm giving, and this is what I'm asking for. So I think you speak really well to that. And I agree. I did write the book that it is useful for both men and women, absolutely. But I'm with you. My heart really is with the women that need this message. We've probably been victimized by diet culture more than men. However, many men have as well. And yes, there's very, very much cultural mindsets that come with being a woman, and oh, I'm not allowed to have needs, I'm not allowed to have wants. It's a powerful thing to break through that and say, I'm worth taking time for. I'm worth, my needs and my wants are valid, and I'm going to give voice to them, and I, that's okay. And so yes, we definitely get into that just a little bit in that stress management chapter. Beautiful. So as we wrap up, if you could just sum up why you feel the message of this book is so important. Maybe we've already touched on this enough, but if you could just kind of tie a bow on it. Why is this message important?
I'll probably speak to this from the vantage point of a 60-year-old about to turn 61 and who wants to age well. I feel like in all seasons of a woman's life, her needs change, her health needs change. And right now, I'd love to be a size 10 or 8 again and look svelte and elegant, but at this point, it's all about aging well and being healthy. Sometimes people close to me will say, well, gosh, your life has no joy in it if you're not eating sugar and meat and dairy and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a little bit less heavy than I was. I don't have to take the medication I was on anymore. I just take stuff for asthma now. I don't know how close I came to having to go on insulin. I may never know. But anyway, and I don't have fibromyalgia flare-ups anymore. And I'm like, so if I can avoid medication for cholesterol, high blood pressure, if I can avoid cardiac issues and mobility issues, going plant-based is a joy to me. It's not a sacrifice. Sure, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. I've been told that, like, well, why don't you enjoy your life? I'm like, I do. I'm free of these medications now. And, but I think that your book and tying everything together in the context gives someone tools for every phase of their life, like a young mother who's trying to juggle a baby and jobs and whatever. And then the mother who's running a lot of teenagers around to different places, or someone who just works a lot, has a demanding job, or if it's someone like me who has a little bit more time now because I have a mostly empty nest, and I want to age well and mitigate some health issues. I think your book can be used in every season of an adult's life. I really believe that.
Yeah.
So, I'll probably be reading it when I'm 90 and decide, I need to retool something here a little bit.
Yeah.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was long-winded. I warned you.
No, it's beautiful. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think it's important to recognize that this is a tool and it is a template that you could come back to again and again. And you may answer those journal prompts one way at one time of reading, and you may answer them very differently, and maybe even kind of leveling up maybe the next time around. So it really is kind of a rinse and repeat sort of tool that can be used. So I appreciate you highlighting that.
Yeah,
And seeing
I
that.
agree with that comment you made. Rinse and repeat. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
that's really
okay.
the magic. That's really the magic of this whole approach, right? And that's why I think that's part of why you're in the group coaching program, is that you want to keep going with this, and you want to stay mindful. And someone could do that just by revisiting the book,
Yeah.
continuing to check in, continuing to level up, making those small adjustments. That's where we make sustainable change, is in small sustainable steps. So, well, awesome. Cara, thank you for being willing to hop on
You're
with me.
welcome.
Thank you so much. All right,
Okay.
to those of you that are watching, thank you again for hanging out with us today on launch day. Today only is about 25% off on the pricing for both the paperback and the Kindle edition. You can go to ifdietsdon'tworkwhatdoes.com, click the button, it'll direct you right to the Amazon sales page. After you read it, we would love it if you would leave a review. Let me know what you thought of the book. How did it help you? I'm really excited weeks after this launch to see how this book is impacting you. So thank you so much for hanging out, and I hope you enjoy.